Let's see what we could do. Did you guys retweet? Press 1 if you did it. Let's see who did it. Let's look in here. I'll give you a shout out. We only have 1? Oh my God. All right. Brandon Torres never fails, man. Thanks for your backup. Brandon Torres was the retweet. Let's do it. We got another one. Let's see who else did it. Yeah, Julie. Julie's going to be in here in a little bit. All right. Keep doing it. Keep sharing it. Also, I'm going to ask you to please, even when we're doing standalone videos, retweet our stuff, share it. If you don't have Twitter, that's fine. On the bottom of this video, there's a section you could choose how to share anything. You can share anything. Well, on any platform, sorry. You could do Facebook, you could do Reddit, you could do anything. So just click on that and share. Let's see who else we have in here. Denise, Kimberly, Michael Nothing, Patricia, Claire, David Knight in the house. David, I apologize. I'm going to get you. I know what happened with the channel. I'm gonna fix it. It's a glitch. Audrey, Lisette. Let me refresh. We got 15 retweets here. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's get some more. Everyone counts. If you can tell one person, that really helps. Josie, Jill, Sean, Denise, Kimberly, you guys are awesome. Thanks, Michael. I mean, David. Michael. You know why, David, I called you Michael is because I'm thinking Knight Rider, like Michael Knight. Who remembers that show? Who remembers that show? If you guys are wondering what's in my mouth, I have a cough medicine because my throat is killing me. 128 people. 128 people. So, okay, before we start with our guest, Julie, if you want to share the link I send you to come in here to the guest, you could do so. You're going to bring an expert in. Julie's been bringing the experts in. We have 132 people watching. Let's get it up to 100 likes. Can we do that? That would be amazing. That would be just phenomenal and amazing. 2 main topics we're going to talk about. Alec Baldwin and Kaylee Goncalves' dog. Dogs are man's best friend. Could the dog be the key to solving this case? What an amazing scenario. If the dogs who unconditionally love their owners solves the case. Could you believe that? Wouldn't that be amazing? Is it possible? Thanks, Meg. Dandy. Thanks for sharing. You can still share here. I'll give you... This is Nerd Report. We are live usually Monday through Friday at around 3 o'clock. We have standalone videos. A lot of videos on right now that should be getting more love. All right, I think we have 2 guests here, and it's pretty. Let me cue this up real quick. All right, let's get the 2 guests in here. You're not going to want to miss this. But where are they? All right. 2 guests. This is going to be a good show. Trust me. Let me see. Jules, are you on?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't see you, but it's up to you.
Oh, sorry.
It's up to you.
There you go. Can you see me now?
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you.
Hey, yo, if you guys think Jules looks hot, press that heart button. Women and guys, it's okay. We have a guest. You organize this next guest, right? You set this up. So I don't want to say too much. You want to talk about this guest? I don't know what I could say or what I can't say.
Okay. I could do that if you want.
Okay, let's do that right after this introduction. I want to kind of a precursor to your introduction.
Sure.
Okay, listen. We got this paper here, the search warrant. There's a lot of items. We went through this yesterday, right? There's 12 items plus A, B, and C. We have a video up if you guys want to check that out. It was from yesterday. We were live. And basically, one thing that stands out to me that would make this story almost like a bittersweet revenge and just, like one of those, it'll be like a movie where you leave crying, is the tale of a girl and her dog. Because number 7 here, one of the things that's evidence or could be evidence is one possible animal hair strand, right? I know people are not making a big deal out of this, but I am, because, and I can't find her picture, of course. I was up here earlier. Kaylee Goncalves, who some think is or was the primary target of whoever attacked the 4, that had a dog. And I'm not sure, what kind of dog is it?
You know, I don't know, Louis. I'm really bad when it comes to breeds.
Yeah. So, anywho, wouldn't that be special, like in a bittersweet way, if the dog's the one able to solve this crime? Because now you got the scene of the crime, and you got the alleged suspect's house with a hair that belongs to the primary target's dog. Is that possible? Could we find DNA in a dog to match it with the dog? I believe the dog's name is Murphy. They're still alive.
Yes, the dog is.
Could it be matched? Could we find out what kind of dog it is? Does it match? Could it be matched? And I think your next guest could kind of shed light on that. You want to go ahead and introduce them?
Sure. Our next guest, he is an animal control investigator in the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. He has been in animal control well over 20 years. I believe in the investigation unit better than 2 years. He can speak to that when he comes on. He, as an investigator, knows how to write up a search warrant, what he needs for a search warrant, anything in regards to a search warrant, has testified in court in regards to a search warrant. He knows his stuff. Let's just say that. He knows what happens when it comes to animals, dogs, etc. Please welcome our guest, Michael San Juan.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for coming on in. I hope you could hear us.
Can you hear us, Michael?
Set up professional. Michael, could you hear us? It's okay. It happens. It happens. Worst case scenario, he could always, it's on the bottom left-hand corner. He should be with headphones. Or Jules, he could always call me because we're set up for phone calls. So we're good. With that, as Jules gets that, if you guys want to support the channel, we are taking time off from our regular work to bring content to you. You could support the channel via Super Chat, preferably PayPal, or Super Chats. Super Chats, PayPal's preferred, Cash App's preferred because they don't take the 40%, but Super Chats are amazing, or just being here is amazing. And stuff. As we're getting ready here, we're going to discuss, can Kaylee Goncalves' dog be the key to solving this case? If he's having trouble, he could call me, and there wouldn't be a problem at all. Just you could give him my number. He could stay on and talk to me. He'll hear us perfectly. All good. Meanwhile, y'all, do you think this is a big piece of evidence? Do you think the dog could actually solve the entire thing? Murphy is precious, Dandy. It was a Labrador. A Labradoodle? I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, welcome, Michael. Absolutely, 100%. But I think that would be a crazy, karma if it's actually the dog that solves the case. It could really turn things around. Let's see. So as we're waiting for that, what do you guys think? There you go. He could call me, Jules. Have him call me on the phone. Then we're good.
On your number?
Yeah, my number. Give him my personal number. And he could call us. So there we go. A little bit of technical issues. But some people prefer... He could stay on. He could stay on with his video if he wants, but at the same time, no biggie. Hold on. Let me see this real quick. 1 second, people. All right, we're set up if he wants to call. Sorry for the music. Yeah, I'm not going to give my personal number here.
Not out on the chat. No,
I know that. Okay, we got it.
Okay.
All right.
Finally.
All right, welcome to the channel.
I am so sorry. I don't know what is going on.
It's all right.
Everything cut out.
It's all right, but you know what? It sounds pretty damn good, right, Jules?
It does, actually.
It sounds pretty freaking good, man.
Yeah, really.
So, what we were saying is thanks for coming on in here. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the case. Jules gave you a nice introduction. Are you familiar with the case at all?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is one of the ones I have been following.
Oh, yeah.
One of those ones that you wish didn't happen and you wish you weren't following it, but unfortunately you are.
I can't. Yeah, I feel you. I can't. I don't. We can't. Normal people can't begin to comprehend the amount of damage someone did. Of course, the suspect is there, innocent until proven guilty, right? But things are looking bad. But I don't know. It's all up to the jury. So we've seen scenarios where this is. All right. Well, anyways, that's a different story. So one of the victims. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Michael, I told everyone that, you have better than 20 years experience in the animal control industry, and you're currently an animal control investigator, and you do search warrants, you execute them, you know what to put in them, you know what a judge is looking for, you've testified, et cetera, and there you go.
Why would well, first of all, I'm new to this, so why would there be a search warrant with an animal involved? Is it animal neglect or?
Yeah, usually it'll be anything from neglect cases, hoarding cases. A lot of times you'll get a hoarder. They're not going to let you in the house. You've got to wait until you can get enough probable cause to get a warrant to go in there and seize all that property, which unfortunately animals are property. So, so it could be anything from neglect cases, where just people are not caring for their animals living in filth. Those are all different reasons why you can get a warrant to go onto that property and seize every single animal on that property.
Nice. And also in the comments, please let me know if the audio sounds good. I'm a big audio guy. I believe audio is more important than visual, actually. I think it sounds good on our end, but who knows? So with this case, there was the warrant was released, and there was 12 items on it. I believe 12, and then the 12th one had 3 A, B, C, and D or whatever.
That was definitely usually the thing I was looking for when I saw that come up is one of two things. Either you're going to be looking for a property receipt or the warrant return, which will also have everything that was seized, and looked like you guys had the warrant return that you were going through the other night.
Well, one of the victims had a dog. I'm not sure if you saw what kind of dog it is. You'll probably be able to tell better than I do. Some people said it on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't actually seen a picture of the dog, but I just heard about the fact that she did have the dog in there, and it looks like that is one of the things that they did seize in that warrant.
So I guess this could work out like a movie where the primary target, it looks like the primary target owned a dog, and that dog may be the evidence, the missing part that will link the suspect they have now with the crime scene. It's one strand. How effective is one strand for DNA, in your opinion? How, if it is indeed the same dog, can they find that out?
So you're going to run into one of two things. One will be good, and the other one is not. It'll help to a certain extent, but it's not going to be conclusive. So depending on how that hair got onto him and back into his apartment, if that was just contact, he picked it up in the room, the dog brushed up against him, they're not going to be able to pull DNA off of that they can match from the dog, but they can run that hair to get breed-specific information and match it up that way. Still could. It's possible a good attorney could say that it's going to be circumstantial, but if that dog got too close to him and he pulled that hair out even by accident, and you've got some follicles on it, it's just like human hair. If you get it at the root, you're going to have that DNA in there. It's the same thing with the canine. If you got that root on there, then you can absolutely DNA test it right back to the dog 100% and be able to match it up.
So if it doesn't have the root, it's deal.
You can still match up the breed. Yeah, you can still pull a sample from the suspect dog and that evidence, and you can still run testing on it, which you can get from breed specific information. So if that's not a pure breed dog, that's whatever type of dog mixed with this type of dog.
Wow.
Both those samples can come back and show that same thing and show multiple breeds that are in that dog. But is it going to be a DNA match? If it doesn't have that root follicle on there, unfortunately, that is one thing that it won't have.
So no DNA if it doesn't have the root, but they could find out what kind of dog it is without the root. And then we have a scenario where there's millions of coincidences, and then that could be presented to a jury. Jules,
exactly.
Jules, what are your thoughts? You want to add anything?
Well, I have a question actually for Michael with what you just said. Mm-hmm. So let me just understand this more clearly. If they can match the hair, if there's no root, they can match the hair to the dog breed. Can they match it specifically to Murphy? If they have
without the root, then they wouldn't be able to do that. All they can do is match it to a breed. So if they're lucky and Murphy, if that's dog's name, is one or two specific breeds, or more than, if it's more than that, they might be able to narrow it down a little bit better. But without that root, it's going to just basically give you that generic information, whatever his breed comes back as. Usually most dogs are at least 2 or 3 different breeds mixed together. So if he's more on the muddish side and has several different breeds in them, they can break down, the percentage of what breed, it's, 40% lab and 20% this. So they can break it down, and they might be able to get on paper a match, but again, a good attorney, if they, it's definitely something that they can end up fighting over. If to be able to say that they can't positively say it's absolutely the same dog, but again, and that's all just if there's no root follicle on there. If there's a root follicle on there, then it's a slam dunk at that point. So just all depending on how that dog was with them. If that dog jumped up at him, or he had to push that dog away, and then he got that root follicle on him, because those black nitrate gloves that he had, I actually own some of those. Hair sticks to them really easily, and if you go off to go grab a dog, there's a good possibility you can pull a hair out, depending on how much that dog is coming, jumping up at you, and you're trying to grab it and push it away. From the one picture, I got a quick glance of that dog. It looked like it was a little bit of a longer hair dog. So if he grabbed it to push the dog away, it's possible wearing those type of gloves that he could have pulled something out at the root. You just never know.
Well, apparently the dog is very quiet, so it's not really. I don't know. Who knows? Because the court date's in June, and that's a very long time from now. And I doubt they've really released everything they have.
No.
Yeah. So what about? So the Idaho 4, the dog was there. They played with the dog. Even though it's from what I understand, it's kind of like that dog in particular was like a short hair dog. People are saying they don't shed as much, but they still do, right? Could the victims have had hair on them because they played with the dog?
Yeah, if that dog lived there, that dog's hair is going to be thrown throughout that apartment. Short hair or long hair. Most breeds all are going to shed. There's very few that are hypoallergenic that don't shed. So I doubt that's going to be a non-shedding breed. So that hair should be throughout that entire house if that dog had access to the whole house. So if they can match up that hair to the same hair that's back in his apartment, if there's DNA on it, then there's no way around it. But he was definitely in there. So without the DNA, just got to hope that dog is a couple of specific types of breeds, and they can narrow it down that way.
So we have Michael here, who's an expert for you all here on Nerd Report. Julie set this interview up. He's been working with animal control, correct?
Yeah, I've been doing, actually, I think this is 19 years now that I've been doing animal control work, and I do animal abuse investigations at this point. So I do a lot of search warrants, a lot of felony criminal cases, get involved in jury trials. So unfortunately, when it deals with animals, you get to see a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So look, we're bringing
your email.
Me?
Michael.
Okay.
Michael, check your email. I just sent you a picture of her dog.
Yeah. So as he does that, we're bringing something here on Nerd Report that no one has. And I'm being schooled. I had no idea about any of this. Press heart if you're learning some stuff. So like in 6 days, maybe other people are going to catch up, and then YouTube's going to promote their video. Do me a favor, keep tweeting away. We have broken so many theories that have become true. I hate to say that, have to even say that. You guys know, you guys have been here for a while. And then like 10 days later, someone else runs with it, and YouTube doesn't promote our videos. I'm going to keep saying it. It's bull crap. Please, community, we need you guys. Call to arms and retweet this video. Share it, like, subscribe, whatever you have to do. Tell a friend. Throw out smoke signals. Because I never heard of any of this, right? And we're going to keep asking questions here about these animals and stuff and how it works. Look at the hearts in the comments. So
yeah, and it looks like in the picture, it's possible that's like a Labradoodle type mix. If so, they are a hyperallergenic dog that's not supposed to breed. That's what it kind of looks like in the picture. So if that's the case and he got hair on him, it's definitely possible that could have gotten pulled out of the dog at that point. It looks like it's probably would be a longer haired dog, and these pictures looks like it may be shaved down, but that's what it looks like to me, like possible Labradoodle, so something like that.
Well, I have a question. You said in order to get a definitive match to Murphy that there would have to be a root follicle on the hair. When a dog sheds, because we all shed hair, animals as well, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
But
so
the
when they
difference is
shed, does the root shed with your hair when your hair?
They're not going to. So everything I've looked into that today, just because I want to try and get some good information.
Thank you.
It looks like just shedding hair is not going to have that root follicle on it.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, you're great, Michael. You're great. I think I'm going to replace Julie.
I guess.
Gene Rick, thanks so much for that super chat. Nerd Report, my favorite. Gene Rick, always supporting mods. Do me a favor. We are actually taking time away from our work and stuff, trying to bring more content here. But we need your support, not only by views, but if you can, buy us some coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. And you can do that with, actually there's coffee in here. Wow. I'm going to drink it. You can do that with the Cash App, PayPal, or the Linktree. There's information on how you can support. If not, just stay here and share our video. Michael, I have a question as well. Have you seen any scenario like this one? Where there's a murder in someone's house with a dog, and then the suspect has a hair follicle that they match with the dog at the murder scene or the crime scene.
So yes and no. I know that we've had cases where a dog has killed a person, and there was multiple dogs, and we were able to get DNA from saliva, match it with the bite wounds to determine which animal killed the dog. But hair follicle, I've not heard of one like that before. So it's going to be, and like I was saying before, these are actually the gloves, the same type of gloves that he had. These gloves, like I said, when you're wearing these things.
Well, allegedly had. Let's say allegedly, because.
Yeah, so like these type of gloves, when you grab something, it's got a good grip on them. So if you're grabbing that animal, there's a good possibility you're going to pull some fur off that animal with these gloves. They're great gloves. They're also not cheap.
Do me a favor, put them on screen. Put them on screen a little bit, like right in the middle. No. You wearing them as an example? Yeah, you just hold it up like that. And like, do you think? I hate to say this. What's your grip like? Is it a good grip?
Yeah, it's definitely. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Unfortunately,
all right.
I don't need to do this, but.
Oh my gosh! Hey, that's perfect. No, that's it. That's it.
So like I said, I've got a really good grip on this. I mean, it's not moving, and like I said, it catches on things pretty easily. These gloves do tear as well.
So it does grip a weapon.
Yes, absolutely. I got a good firm grip. I'm pushing this thing up and down right now, and it's not moving.
What you're watching right now, this is perfect. This is gonna be in the court. This could be brought up. One of the defendant could say, "Look, we don't have a grip with this kind of glove. It wasn't used in this crime." That's one scenario. That is kick ass. Only on Nerd Report, y'all.
Let me see if I can get one of my dogs to actually listen to me. Come over. I'll just pet. I got white dogs, so the fur should come up good. Let me see where my. dum-dums are.
Yeah,
Hold on.
don't tear the fur out of the dog.
Good one.
Gee whiz, I didn't know that this string was going to go in this direction.
Well, I gotta say, Julie, I know you cringed a little bit with that, but honestly, that's the best thing. That's the best thing.
I listen, full disclosure, I had no idea this was going to happen. I had no idea.
Over here.
Yeah, but that's what's going to happen in court. They're going to be trying to say, hey, this is not, if you're wearing this is not going to work. What do you guys think in the comments? I mean, this is great. This is great stuff.
They're asking in the chat to put Michael on full screen when he did the demonstration with the glove and the knife because they couldn't see very well.
Okay, I could do that.
Oh, that looks like my Frankie.
Okay, so I'm gonna put Michael a little bigger here. Okay.
Alright, so I don't know if you can see, but just petting her just a little bit. I got a bunch of hair on here. This is a shorter hair one. Can you grab me her?
Okay, so Michael, let's get to this real quick. Michael, right now, he's a dog expert. He works with animal control. He uses the similar gloves that allegedly were found. He's going to show us if dog hair actually comes off the dog.
So,
and that's what you're looking at.
On my hand, it might be a little hard to see, but
I see one. I see it.
I do have.
Lift it up a little bit. Lift it up. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
And that's just from just a little petting. And because of the way these gloves are, when you pet, it's sticking. The fur is sticking on with these gloves. So as I'm doing that, is there a good possibility with all this hair that I just pulled off that something on there's got a follicle on the end of it? It's possible. Now their warrant return does say that they only found one hair.
That was a big hair, though. The hair I saw on screen right now is a big hair. Do me a favor. Don't take off the glove. They want to see the glove there. Put it in front if you can. And then also, there you go. And then also the possibility of holding a weapon.
Everybody wants to see that demo again.
Okay.
Go for it. So like I said, this glove,
that's okay.
You got good firm grip on this. Now I know he used, something much larger than this.
Maybe we don't know.
Yeah, that's what they're assuming. But again, something this size, you got a good firm grip with this glove.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. It's not like a glove like what you would think, where it gets slippery. Because what happens too is when you're wearing gloves like this, especially in a situation like that, where you're in there and you got all this adrenaline pumping. He's going to be sweating up a storm, and then these gloves are going to get soaking wet. They get slippery in there as well. So at that point, sometimes they do have a tendency to tear as well. So
and Michael, I want to say, our audience is, we're family people and stuff like that. We know, I know kids, they want to talk when my kid used to jump in the background of the YouTube. So don't worry about that. We understand. You're not looking bad. Kids are curious. We love it. We've seen your child before. Beautiful kid. Congratulations. So don't feel like you're looking, don't feel bad because your child's trying to come in there. They're just curious. That's the way it is. We all understand. But yeah, and we appreciate that you're taking time out.
No, absolutely. It was just dumb luck that I still had a box of these gloves sitting under the sink. And because when they first started saying what they were, I was like, oh, I know those gloves, and I love those gloves. But again, these are not cheap gloves. These are. I'd say probably 10 years ago, a box of these gloves would run about $25 for 90 of these gloves.
Yeah.
So
Where would you purchase? Where would you purchase that particular brand?
Amazon. Yeah, I've definitely seen you can get
that wasn't available through your job, was it?
No. These are ones that I used to specifically get ordered for me because I always like these ones the best out of any gloves.
Got you.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Shelly, thank you for the super chat there. Just wanted to say hello or hi. Really appreciate you, Shelly. We appreciate you as well. Thanks for all you do. Also,
it's actually a little bit better nowadays. It's only about $15 now for a box of these gloves. So.
Well, I think they got more popular with COVID, right?
That's
right. So
that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, you have anything to add, Jules? Anything?
Not with
and
that.
I can tell you too. Just this little bit of time I'm wearing the gloves, my hands are already getting damp and moist in there, and that's just sitting here. If I was actively, what are they saying about? He was in the house
24 minutes
allegedly for 15 to 20 minutes. It's a long time, using a lot of energy. You're gonna sweat a lot in these, and it's not uncommon. I will get sweat dripping and pouring out of these. So there's possibility that as they're going through all that DNA in the house, sweat could have very easily dripped out of one of these gloves, and that might be something else that we just don't know about.
Is there DNA in sweat? There is. There's got to be.
I would imagine it's coming out of your body that there's got to be something in sweat that can be ran a test.
That's pretty crazy. That's a lot of information there. And stuff like that. So as someone who's worked with animals, are you a little bit desensitized with seeing how, because people are cruel to animals, man.
Yeah. I hate saying it like this, but you put up these walls, and the key thing to be able to do it for as long as I have is you have to not let things bother you. When you go into somebody's house and you see a dog that is so emaciated, it's nothing but a skeleton that could barely move, you can't go in there with your heart on your sleeve, and you don't have to just go in there, oh man, I understand, and you got to try to, just, because if you go in there just ready to, all right, you're getting yourself arrested, like, it's not going to work. You got to go in there, somewhat be desensitized, realize any call you're going in there, you might find dead animals, and people, have mental issues. You're going to find dead animals in the freezer. Hoarding houses. Any hoarding house I've ever been in, you flip the couch and you're always going to find a dead cat under the couch. It's part of it. People, and most of it comes from mental issues. With people. They, like I always say, every hoarder in any situation starts off with the best of intentions and gets overwhelmed and don't know how to ask for help.
We used to have a scenario here before I knew you guys, like 5 years ago. I'm sure a lot of people are new to the channel after this. There was a kid, I would say a kid 19, 20, looked like that. He was grabbing kittens and just throwing them off the balcony on video. And we reported him, me and like massive channels will report him. And this platform wouldn't do jack or shit. You know what I mean? It just tells you, man, it took him forever. So the longer it went, the more clout the kid was getting by views, even though they were negative. Yep. And it was just pissed me off.
One thing I don't play games with. It's not uncommon. You go out to a house and you might even know whatever the call is for is just nonsense, a neighbor dispute. But you got to go out to every single call, no matter if you 100% believe it's nonsense. You have to go out there believing what you were told is true, and you have to. In this line of work, we are the voice of the animals who can't speak. So, we have to go out there. We have to get justice for that animal. We have to make sure that, whoever's doing it, can't be around animals either. If it's that bad that they're going to go to jail, or hope that they go to jail. All we can do is file our charges. It's up to the state attorney.
Yeah.
What they're going to do. That's the downside. Sometimes you put a lot of work into a case, and then they plea bargain it out, and it just works out to be a fine. And it's frustrating at times, but as long as you got that animal out of that situation, you can go home and rest your head down every night.
That's awesome. Matt Bond, thank you. Sweet heaps, because they are no powder for allergies. I'm not sure what you mean,
Yep.
man. What do you mean?
So they don't have. So some of those gloves will have powder in them, which will actually help with the sweating.
Yeah. Okay.
These gloves do not have any powder in there, which is part of the reason why you sweat so much when you're wearing these gloves.
Yeah. What is without getting too graphic, because I don't even know what you could say on this platform anymore, without getting in trouble? What's the biggest case, most brutal thing that an animal has helped solve? Like, who have you caught?
Like the one where the dog killed somebody. You know, while I wasn't involved in that case, but I'm pretty familiar with that one. That one's definitely an interesting one. But again, that was more used to be able to figure out which one, because it's not uncommon. You get animals that will pack attack, and then you have to try to figure out which one is actually the one that killed that person. We've also had ones where people gotten killed and gotten dragged down the street by the dog, and as it's mauling the person to death. More and more common, where you're seeing on the news of somebody getting killed by dogs nowadays.
Do you think if you were the suspect, let me put it this way: if the suspect they have now in custody is guilty, should he be sweating bullets?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
From everything that they're saying with the DNA evidence, I think the DNA evidence could be the nail in this one. But again, there's a lot of other stuff. From everything I've read about the cell towers, so I know that's the big issue, is the ping showing that he was around that area. Well, when you're in more of a city environment, there's towers everywhere, and they can really pinpoint down your exact locations. From my understanding, out there, because of how rural it is, there wasn't a lot of towers, so yeah, they know he's in that area, but they had more towers. I think that would be helping the case a lot more. But the DNA evidence alone, I think that's going to be the thing that will seal the deal for sure.
All right. So what are the things I think the biggest takeaway here is that it is possible, just like the title of this video says, that Murphy could bring justice to his owner, which was Kaylee Goncalves.
And it's interesting too, because they got from looking at the stuff that they got through the search warrant, between the hairs, the computers, all that stuff has got to be listed in the warrant that you're going in there looking for that stuff. So it's possible that in that warrant, in the affidavit, that because most likely we haven't seen that whole warrant. So it's possible in part of that affidavit and part of the probable cause, they may have had that dog listed if that dog was in the room with those bodies, looking for evidence of a dog as well. If that's part of something that they took, because unfortunately with the warrant, you can't just get a blanket thing of, we're just going to go in there, we want to look through everything and then figure out. You need to be specific of exactly what you're looking for and what you're seizing from that property.
Since Jules has her hand up, go ahead. Thank you for having your hands up.
Now that you've pivoted to search warrants, that's where I would like a more in-depth discussion.
Yeah.
Can you explain to everyone what exactly goes into a search warrant, what you need, what needs to be put in front of the judge? I mean, like from start to finish, and then after you do that, then how you go about executing the search warrant. And after you execute the search warrant, where do you go from there? Those 3 steps. Can you explain?
So some of the stuff is basic across the board, because it involves the Constitution. Some small parts of it might vary from state to state. Key thing when you're writing a search warrant is you got to be honest. You have to tell the truth about everything and all the evidence that you have at that point. You cannot hide anything. Even if you've got information that could show that person that you're trying to execute this warrant on maybe didn't do it, that needs to be in your warrant. Because if it comes out after the fact that you knew for other information, you didn't include it in your warrant, then you run the risk of getting your warrant tossed at that point. So you have to make sure you're honest, you're upfront with everything, the good, bad, the ugly, all the info that you have that's part of your probable cause needs to go into your warrant at that point. the key thing with the warrant is our favorite thing in the world, the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment's pretty clear on this. The Fourth Amendment, I'm going to read it verbatim for you here. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. So under the Fourth Amendment, in order to be able to get that warrant, you need to swear an oath that and affirm to what you believe is true and what any evidence that you have going on there. You need to be specific about where you're going to search and exactly what you're looking for. Like I said, if you try to make it too broad, you might get a judge to sign off on it initially, but it is going to get tossed out of court, and then you're going to lose all that stuff through the fruit of the poisonous tree. You can't do a blanket big search warrant of just, I'm looking for everything. You have to be specific. So this one looks like, from the list of things that they got, my guess would be that they were looking for electronics, any DNA, and it's possible that they could have put canine in there as well, because it sounds like they collected different types of DNA in there, and anything with blood staining. So like for us, if I'm writing a search warrant, depending on what I'm looking for, mine are always going to be animal related. So I'm going to list in there, any animals that we know, any animals that are living, dead, or unborn. And so that way it covers every animal that's in there. Now, if we're going in for a dog fighting warrant, then at that point, I'm going to also put in there that I'm looking for equipment, drugs, needles. Dogfighting warrants are different. Like we can ask for a lot more stuff. We could also ask for a digital search warrant, which then would mean that while in our initial one we can ask to get all the electronics, but what you have to understand is this first search warrant may have given them the right to take that computer tower. They need to get another search warrant to actually go through that tower. So you need an electronics warrant to.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you need an electronics warrant to be able to actually go through the electronics. So for like our dogfighting warrants, electronics are always part of it. So we're going to take all your cell phones, all your computers and tablets, everything that's in there. We're taking it all. But once we have it, now you need to go get a separate warrant to be able to go get everything looked through. And then, like for us,
does that mean the passwords?
They'll get in there. So that stuff will go to like a state lab, forensics lab, to do the forensics on everything. And one way or another, they always find a way to be able to get into your computers. Don't ever think your stuff is locked and secured. It's not. Well, Uncle Sam will always find a way.
But what you're saying is once they have everything that they requested in the first search warrant, then is this exclusive now to just electronics that they need to go back in front of the judge to probe those, to pull all data from those?
That's just going to be electronics. Like everything else, once you get the hair samples, the blood samples, you're good to go to start running your test on all that stuff. But for electronics, you would end up needing that second warrant. And most likely, what they probably did was have that second warrant already ready to go, because you're gonna get electronics out of there. So warrants usually can be pretty quick to put together, especially something like that. If you already know what you're looking for, and say you're gonna do keyword searches, so I can have your hard drive and I can have the forensics people, let's say I steal Lewis's hard drive and I'm like, I want to know what's in here.
Oh boy.
I could do keyword searches on there, for anything from, Luke and Leia, to whatever creepy things I want to know.
Luke and Leia, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, well, but you can pull anything off of that hard drive just looking through keyword searches, and then which is a lot of times what you'll do is you'll do keyword or phrase searches, and then what'll happen is you'll get everything back on one disk. You'll have everything that hit those keywords, and then on a separate disk you'll have the entire dumped hard drive with everything on there, so that way you can look through everything that you were specifically looking for, and you can still look through the rest of the stuff as well. You might sit there for months looking through it, but they give you everything back after what they're initially looking for.
Nice, man. I think we got a wealth of information. Michael, thanks for your call. Yeah, go ahead. You have
Well, so now you've executed the search warrant. You got your things that you requested. What is the next step? Can't hear you.
Because
there you go.
With the warrant, so you're hitting certain things. So when you're writing out your warrant, you got to have your probable cause. You got to have your reasonable ground of suspicion to support why you're getting it, where you're looking. Then you're going to go in front of a judge at that point. Judge is going to review everything. If the judge feels like you've got enough probable cause, then at that point he'll sign off on everything, and he's going to look at the four corners of the warrant, which ultimately just means what is in that warrant. Everything that's included in the four corners really just means the four corners of the page. Making sure that everything is in there. You didn't you didn't omit things because it's going to be found out. These lawyers out there are good, and they're going to probe into everything. And if you purposely left something out, then it's going to come back to bite you. But once you get that warrant signed, you're going to usually you have it can vary from state to state, but figure a week tops to actually serve that warrant. So you get your warrant. Once you get it signed, you go to the property. Usually what will happen is they'll even if nobody's home, they have to read the warrant to the door before they can enter, even if nobody's in the house. It's kind of funny to watch them do that. But they'll read the warrants, and then they'll enter the property. At that point, depending on what's listed in that warrant, that's what they're looking for. Now, depending on what's all in there, if you're looking for small, little, tiny items, well, those tiny items could be any place, and that basically gives you free reign to really look around. But you've got to keep it within the scope of what you're looking for. Once you're all done, you're going to re-secure back up your scene. You do what's called a property receipt. So everything that you took from that property gets listed down onto that property receipt, and you leave a copy of the warrant and a copy of the property receipt there. And there, if they have a lawyer, obviously you can give it to them, but you're gonna, so that way everybody has the right, has constitutional rights. You have the right to know what they took from your property. So they should be letting you know what they took, and then you've got certain amount of time, again, 7 days is probably going to be about your average to return your warrant, which means ultimately you're bringing it back to the courts. You're going to bring that back with the property receipt and your warrant return, which will also have listed on there everything that you seized from that property. Which is what you guys we're reading off. So once that happens, and if you've got a criminal case like this one, where obviously he's got attorneys, they're gonna be fighting everything. On a good note, for us citizens, how a warrant works is you got one judge that signed the warrant. So once you got your warrant signed by Judge A, okay, now you came to my house, you took my stuff, you charged me with whatever. Well, now that warrant goes to Judge B, and now everything goes in for a review under that judge. So his attorney is going to take that warrant, take all the stuff that they go, and it's going to go be heard in front of a different judge to make sure that everything was done correctly. Now, sometimes things aren't done correctly. Sometimes things happen. There is something called a good faith exception. So if you have your warrant all set up and the law enforcement makes a reasonable mistake while they're doing that search and look at something that they weren't supposed to look at, or take something that they weren't supposed to look at, there is, like I said, what's called a good faith exception, where the judge can overrule the fact that they did something that they weren't supposed to be doing. As long as it wasn't maliciously being done. Like I said, they can then definitely can get away with that, and lawyers will try and fight it. But usually, the judge is going to let that fall under the good faith exception. Now, there are a couple issues with that. So, if you're trying to, let's say that they took something that they weren't supposed to take, or there was something wrong with their warrant that his attorney's trying to fight, and they're trying to go throw it under the good faith exception of, okay, no, this is why it should fall under that. Well, there's a couple of reasons why a judge could say absolutely not. If the judge looks through the affidavit of that warrant, and if he was misled with the information in the affidavit, and the affiant, which is the person who wrote it, intentionally put false information in there with a reckless disregard of the truth, that warrant's going to get tossed and everything included in it. If the second judge is looking at that warrant and seeing that there was not enough probable cause, that first initially judge just abandoned their role as that first gatekeeper, of our constitutional rights, that second judge can toss the whole warrant. The other issue is that if that warrant just is absolutely lacking the probable cause that it needed to do, it's possible that the second judge can toss it. Does it happen often? Sometimes it does, where that first judge, just signs off on it. Now, this is a high profile case, so I can't imagine that first judge is just going to sign off on something and not read through it thoroughly. But you do have judges in these lower level stuff where sometimes they will just sign off on things and not really look through it and look into detail with everything. If a judge like that signs the warrant, you have a good attorney. There's definitely ways of you getting that whole warrant and everything in there tossed.
Interesting, man. So you got all this information. Is this self-learned, or is this a lot of stuff you had to learn working for 19 years with the animal?
A lot of it's learned. We still, I was just in a training with a judge the other day who was giving us a Fourth Amendment class, just nice. Reiterating certain things about it. It's unfortunately, with technology being the way it is, things are constantly changing, and it's good to know what a judge is going to toss and why a judge would toss something. We were talking about drones. Legally, what can you do with the drone? What can't you do with the drone? Everybody's property has something called curtilage. How much is curtilage going to apply before you're not supposed to be on somebody's property? These things can change constantly, and what was legal today, one Supreme Court ruling in any state can take that and throw it right out the window. So things are forever changing. The Constitution, thank God, is one thing that doesn't change and shouldn't change. It's there for all of us, for everyday people. Like I always say, I might do whatever I do for a living, but that don't mean that I don't stand up for my own constitutional rights, and I don't tell people you need to stand up for your constitutional rights.
Jules?
We all have those rights, and if you don't sit there and enforce your rights and make sure that your rights aren't being violated, they're going to get violated.
Michael, Audrey Hudson in the chat has a question. She wants to know, can they get a second warrant if the items found weren't on the first warrant? Can they do multiple attempts on the same property, basically?
If they have something else that they want to go in and look for, I don't see why a judge would say no to that. As long as they've got the probable cause to go back in there and they can lay out to a judge, no, we believe that this is going to be in that property. They can certainly, refill out another warrant, and I can't imagine a judge would say no to you. You just have to be specific about exactly what you're looking for. So if their case led them to X, and now X is going to lead to the Y, you think Y is back in that apartment and not something that was under the scope of the original warrant, you can certainly go in there, and as long as you know that apartment has not been tampered with since that first one, then you can go back in there and go get additional stuff. It's not uncommon, unfortunately, for like somebody like myself and what we do. I'm not going to get graphic into it, but it's not uncommon for, let's say the sheriff's department to go out and they're doing a warrant and arresting somebody for disgusting things that they have on their computer. And then, we get called because as they're going through all that, then they find disgusting stuff on the computer. It's also involving animals. So now we've got, they got their own warrants to go in there and go get all those electronics, deal with all that stuff. And now we got to get a warrant to go in there and now seize all those animals, because now all those animals are evidence of additional crimes that people did. So it's not, and plus what'll happen too for us, we're not going in for what I do, looking for drugs or guns or any sort of illegal stuff like that. That's not what we're in there for. But when we're in there doing what we do, if things are in plain view, sitting out, you got a pile of drugs sitting on your kitchen table, scales and a gun sitting next to it in little baggies, and it's right out there on the table, that's plain view. Now, then at that point, law enforcement, who are there on scene with us, sees that stuff in plain view. They can go back in and, because it's in plain view, they can seize it right then and there and charge the person. But if they want to start looking through the rest of the house based off of their probable cause that they were there under our search warrant, saw this in plain view, then they get their own separate search warrants, go in and search the rest of the house for the rest of the stuff.
Okay, so what if you have a search warrant, you've asked the judge, these are the things that we're looking for, we suspect we're going to find in the house. The judge signs off, you go in there, but you're searching through to find these items, and yes, you'll find them, but while you're searching, not in plain view, but while you're searching, you come across other items that may be pertinent to your case. Can you seize it at that time, or do you have to go back? You have to leave it and go back to the judge and say, whatever. That's
so some of that will fall under the good faith with it. So depending on what it is, sorry, I got to plug back in my computer.
It's fine.
Some of that will, is this not charging? Hold on. I plugged it in backwards.
All right, there we go.
You should be right that way. Other things, are definitely going to get a little bit iffier. If depending on what we're looking for, if you found.
Oh, you cut off.
That you were actually looking for wouldn't have fit in there, then you're going to have a problem, and you absolutely have to go back in and start back over from scratch. But considering that they were in there looking for hair and DNA and all that stuff, I'm assuming that it was going to be quite broad in the areas and that they were going to be able to look. So, but again, a warrant, you have to be specific about what you're looking for. So if you're finding additional stuff, there's definitely a possibility that they're going to would have gotten a second warrant and to go back in. But usually, again, it seems like they knew exactly what they were looking for. And the stuff that you're going to be needing for your case. It looks like they had a nice variety of different things on that warrant. So my guess is they knew what they were looking for, and that they went in there and they were able to find that stuff.
Real quick, I want to say thank you to Bernice for being a nerd trooper, being a member. Hi, Lewis. Hope all is well. All is great. 6 months. Hearts for Bernice. Thank you for the support.
And Cash in the chat has a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What are the options now for BK in terms of the process? on what's going on with these warrants and stuff.
So,
I want to add an additional question to Cash's question, please. They did a search warrant in his parents' home in Pennsylvania. We have not seen or heard anything in regards to that search warrant. I know you don't know the laws in Pennsylvania, but do you think that we will hear?
Oh, hold on one second. Uh-oh.
Is it only me, or can she just not hear anything?
You're back on. Only me, and she doesn't hear any of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. While a search warrant is public records requestable, you can get them. You're not going to get that whole warrant. You're not going to get the probable cause statement, just depending on what the warrant's for. I'm really surprised that they let as much info out of that warrant this early on in the investigation. Mm-hmm. Usually, warrants and stuff like that aren't going to get released until cases are done and resolved. Now, the PA warrant, that's that warrant, it's going to get tied back into this case, but it's possible it could get released. But every state is going to be a little bit different. But like I said, I was really surprised that they released that warrant already this quickly.
There's a lot of surprising things here. There's a lot of evidence being released, and with the gag order.
Exactly. I thought that gag order was really going to slow things down, and it hasn't. It
increased stuff.
Yeah, things are going to trickle up no matter what in any sort of cases. But they're definitely letting a bit more out. And as far as what he can do, again, any good attorney, first thing that they're going to do is they're going to go after all these search warrants. That's step one, is go after all the warrants. And my guess is, and again, it sounds horrible, but I always try to put myself in the defendant's shoes in any case, because it's easier to work a case when you try to think like the person that you're trying to deal with. So I would imagine that they're going to go after that. They're going to go after the cell phone towers, saying if they were too far apart, you can't really prove exactly where he is. I mean, she's got a couple of avenues to go down, but I think the thing that's going to bury him will end up being DNA evidence. There's just too gruesome of a scene for that DNA evidence.
Too much. I heard there was blood on the walls and everything like that. Michael, so
I remember.
Go ahead. We're gonna go right now. We're gonna not go, but we're going members only mode. And what's gonna happen here is I want Jules to like, this is kind of like a super chat buffet where all you could eat. So your questions are going to be looked at because there's less people in the chat. So if you guys want to ask a question, like most chats, every question is going to be taken like highlight because obviously there's less members. Something nice for the members right now. So we're on members only mode, but you could listen. I just feel like we need to do something nice for the members, and we have them coming in. Audrey, thank you for being a member. What is it? If this guy did the crime, he should do the time. Definitely, we agree with you. And Kate says, I really hope that the doggy's hair matches Karma. Absolutely. 100%.
Yep.
Thanks for being a nerd trooper for a month. And then,
say hi, Rafa. All right, somebody wants to just peek and poke their head in for 1 second.
That's
say hi,
right.
Stand up. So this little one here wants to say hi. To say hi to her Nana. Say hi.
Hi, Nana.
Hi, I see you lost the front tooth. Yeah, I could tell. All right.
Okay, I go back in the room. I told her she can say hi once. I go back in the room.
They do that. Like my son used to ignore me, and then when I went on, he would jump in there.
Yeah.
You want to get Cash's question?
Sure. I can actually answer that question. for Cash. Cash's question is, if he pleads, is he still facing the death penalty trial in Idaho? What will happen is, I don't think he's going to take a plea deal. I mean, if he does go, if his attorneys, I think what's going to happen is June 26th is going to roll around. They're going to have their 5-day mini trial. That's where all the evidence is going to come out. The defense does not have to put on a case. They don't. They can cross-examine everything. They could have their own, experts cross-examine, what have you. They don't have to put on a case. This is basically for the state to put their evidence on and for a judge to determine that there is enough to be bound over for an actual trial. And as Andrea Burkhart stated, that's going to happen. He's going to be bound over. Then it's time for him to be arraigned, where he's going to either plead guilty or not guilty. Now, the only way that he escapes the death penalty, because this is going to be a capital case, mark my words, they are going for the death penalty in this. The only way he can escape that death penalty is if Ann Taylor, his public defender, makes a deal with the prosecutor saying he's going to he'll plead guilty to this if you take the death penalty off the table and give him life without parole. That's the only way he escapes the death penalty.
Now, I think because of his criminal justice background, once that next hearing comes up and he sees what evidence, more of what they have, or what DNA evidence, I think it would be ridiculous to think he would not, start to go down that plea road, because again, this was his field of study. He knows, certain things, like there's no way of getting around that. So I think once they put more cards on the table, sadly, I think that they'll offer him a plea for life instead of death. I'm not the ultimate sayer in what should happen with people. I can only have an opinion, and
that's right. Get your questions in, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. You get your questions right now. We're on members are get their questions in the chat. Listen. I love that. Let's pivot a little bit, and I want to keep you on here, Michael. You down? You're not out of time, are you? All right.
No. Today is my Friday. I don't go back to work.
Damn, but we don't want to take your Friday. You know what I mean? So we have this thing, and man, the knowledge you dropped today is amazing. I can't wait to see everyone else report the same thing in 6 days. But anyways, that's a different topic for a different time. Let's pivot a little bit, because you know your stuff. And I think people like your opinion here. Let's move to Alec Baldwin. You familiar with that?
Yes. I have to say, I was happy today to see that. It's
hey,
low charge, but I'm also frustrated to know that it's taken this long.
Yeah.
They from what I understand, they already settled the civil suit, and took this long. You can't say I didn't pull the trigger. You cocked the hammer back.
Well, let's set it up a little bit and have everyone's opinion. If you disagree with us, because I have a little bit of a different take, and I don't like Alec Baldwin at all. But I'm going to disagree with you.
You don't like him as a person or as an actor?
I don't really watch his movies because I can't stand them. So
I've been following him since he was on Knots Landing.
But okay, whatever. Let's change that.
Brothers are better.
But check this out. He's going to be charged, or he was charged. He is the producer. Apparently, according to the lady you sent me, the DA, who is it? The one that sent the
district attorney. Yes.
Yeah, the DA. She stated that there's 3 people responsible: the armorer, the people who, I guess, I forgot who the other one was. I guess the people who bring the supplies, and the person using the fake gun has to make sure it is fake and not loaded. You know, so that would be Alec Baldwin, right? Okay, fine. I do not think he did this on purpose by no means. But here's the deal. Here's the counter. We have his attorney has countered, and attorneys are good with words, man. But check this out. I have a take on this. This is what the attorney said. This decision, talking about the charges, distorts Helena Hutchins' tragic death and represents a terrible miscarriage of justice. Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe there was a live bullet in the gun or anywhere in the movie set. Okay. He relied on professionals with whom he worked who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. We will fight this charge and we will win. This is according to his attorney. Now, let me break this down, though. Right from the start, the assholery is present. He uses her name. He uses the victim's name. Okay? This decision distorts Helena Hutchins' tragic death. Oh, my God, bro. Really? Okay, fine. All right, cool. All right. It's no justice for her, okay? According to the statement. Mr. Baldwin did not believe there was a bullet in the gun or nowhere on the movie set. He's a producer, bro, okay? All right. He relied on professionals to whom he works, so he's throwing the ball like he's throwing other people under the bus, bro. Like...
And unfortunately, too, everything you've read off so far can be debunked one by one through their state.
And this is the thing. Like, look, let's put the bias aside. He comes off as an asshole. So people want him to be guilty. And that's a thing. I've talked to lawyers that you can't come off as an a-hole. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think
strictly just a PR move, and he's fighting a PR battle right now. That's all that is.
He's coming out. He's not coming out humble. If this happened to someone else he doesn't like, he'd be blaming them. He preaches anti-gun stuff and is the first one to do this, not be safe. It's just so bad. And I guarantee you, if this was a person who, if it wasn't him, he'd be tweeting out like, and I think he has tweets like that. He does. Yeah. So it's like, it's hypocritical, man. That's why you got to watch what you say. Right.
And just the fact that you had a gun in your hand. You believed there was a blank round in there. That is still a round. That blank still has a charge in there. Yes, a projectile shouldn't come out, but sometimes things happen and fragments still can come out. You still took that weapon, still aimed it at somebody. It is your responsibility handling a firearm to know if it's loaded, not loaded, if it's got a blank in it, if it doesn't have a blank in it. And even if it does, you don't point it directly dead center mass at somebody.
And not only that, why the hell are there real weapons on a movie set to begin with? 2023, you could CGI that shit for like $2. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like I think Julie is about to explode here. I don't know. I never seen her so long.
I want to play devil's advocate here. Okay.
I'm trying to actually. I think I just did. I think
you didn't. You and Michael are in agreement.
You're not listening to me. Listen, Julie, real quick. I think we need to put our dislike of his personality and reality aside. That being said,
I get that.
That being said, he is the producer. That's a big deal. He is fun. He's supposed to be on it. There were complaints of safety violations there. Correct?
I understand that.
Yeah. Okay.
And you do know what the plot of that movie is, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let Jules talk. This is going to take an hour, but let's do it.
I'll make it short and sweet.
Sure.
I don't feel like he should have been charged with this particular charge. Should he have been charged? Yes. I think maybe negligence instead of involuntarily manslaughter.
Yeah.
Like, could it have been it should have been a lesser charge of negligence. And the reason why I say this is because the armorist and the other guy, Dan, I can't remember his last name now, who was also a producer and was helping out on the set.
Yeah.
You know, especially the armorer. Yes, she needs, I think she's number one on the list. That was her job, to make sure that there were blanks in that gun, to double check, to triple check, and all of that stuff. And then she handed the gun to the other guy, and he's the one who said all clear. I cannot 100% fault Alec Baldwin for thinking that when they handed him the gun and they said all clear, he had every reason to believe that the gun was cleared. That's number one. Number two, when you say about pointing the gun, again, the director, may she rest in peace, instructed
cinematographer,
sorry.
It's okay.
Instructed him to point the gun in her direction because she wanted to see how the shot was going to look. Now, when he claimed he didn't pull the trigger, we know that that's not true, because he pulled the trigger.
Also, has that actually been confirmed?
Let her go, Leia. Let her go, because
So should he be charged? I feel yes, but he was negligent in his duties. I understand the involuntary thing doesn't mean that he did it on purpose, but that's still like a higher penalty. I think if anybody that should get the highest charge would be the armorist. Now, the other guy did a plea deal. We don't know what kind of deal he made, but he made a plea deal. So he may be just walking away with probation. We don't know, because that part hasn't been released. But I don't think it's fair that he was charged the same way as the armorist. That's all I'm going to say.
I think, though, the big elephant in the room is that if this was not him involved, he'd be saying, look, guns bad, people are neglect. And he'd also be saying that the actor who pulled the trigger is racist, because that's what Alec Baldwin does. The armorist is Hispanic, okay? He's throwing her under the bus. 100% Alec Baldwin will be on Twitter calling the guy a murderer and calling him a racist for throwing the armorist under the bus. That's why people hate him.
But you don't think she should have been thrown under the bus because it was her job that she neglected?
Who hired her? Who hired her, though?
The producers.
Alec Baldwin is a producer. And that's what it looks like.
He's one of three producers from the movie.
There were complaints. Now, we don't know everything. It's like, look, we've learned from the Kohberger thing that the affidavit comes out, the search warrant, and in June the trial starts, and that's just a fraction. We don't know everything. I wish this didn't happen to him, but the elephant in the room is he's the first one to point at this crap, and I think that hurts him. He's going online, incriminating himself with the ridiculous "I didn't pull the trigger."
I agree with you on that, Louis. That I agree with.
And like they say, everything you say can and will be held against you. And, oh my God, Michael, sorry, man, go for it.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention for a second, but no.
You're just like Jules.
I got to work now, but I had to look at. The two big things to me is that he has been for the last year and a half, and it's shocking that he has, but it's also Alec Baldwin, so he can't really be all that surprised. He's been out there running his mouth, doing all these different interviews. All that stuff is going to be used against him. Everything that he said in those interviews that might be true, might not be true. Any of that stuff is going to end up being used against him. He should have just sat back for the last, what has it been, 18 months or something, 15 months, and just shut his mouth.
I agree.
Be remorseful.
This was an accident.
This was an accident. His own worst enemy. Yeah, his mouth is his own worst enemy. I agree.
This was an accident. He didn't mean to do it. 100%. It's just he's unlikable. Yeah. You know,
but it's still. I'm sorry. You're holding a firearm in your hands. I don't care if somebody hands me a gun and says it's empty. You want to know what I'm doing? I'm clearing the chamber. I'm checking myself. You don't just take somebody's word for it. You know, he's been in Hollywood for most of his life. You know better. You know, you're an anti-gun activist. You want to slam everything out there. You know, somebody hands you a gun. And I guarantee this is not the first movie set that he's been on with guns where he's had firearms in his hands. You've had training. You know, you clear that chamber. You check. And it wasn't even, I believe it was like a 45 or something. You know, so you knew that there was something in there. You know, I don't remember exactly what the gun was, but you know, there's a possibility you can see into that chamber, and if you can't, your responsibility is to check it. You don't just take somebody's word for it. You know, when you hand me a plate of food and say, "Don't worry, I didn't put poison in there," it's my job to make sure that there's no poison sitting on the table next to it.
Jules,
I still stand by what I said because there were two people, the armorist and the Dan, whatever his name is, checked it. I think that he had a reasonable reason to believe that there was nothing in there, or it was a blank, or whatever the case is, because of the fact that he hired an armorist to take care of this. He had Dan as the second person there. And so when you have two people telling you it's clear, go ahead, you know, he relies on, he's paying these people. So he's relying, you know, on that. Cash in the chat has a question. Do you think that maybe, I doubt this, but we'll see what Lewis and Michael has to say. But the question is, do you think that, you know, he's going to maybe do a plea deal and get a lesser charge? I'm going to say the Alec Baldwin that I do not know personally, but
what?
I don't know him personally. No, I don't. But I'm going to say what I know of him. Him taking a plea deal is next to nothing. He's gonna go all the way with this. He's going to be a Jussie Smollett. He's going to go to trial. There's no doubt. He's not going to plea. He's not going to take a lesser plea. You know, I think he should be. I think he should get. I think he should, if they offered him like negligent homicide, which is, you know, far less, and he'll pay a fine and go on probation.
The maximum.
Go ahead.
But the maximum charge for this isn't that much. 18 months, no. $5,000.
For somebody like him, that's a lot.
No, it's gonna go to like 3 weeks. Watch, you know. It's plus he's in a isolated area, you know, he's going to be on the news. Here's the problem too, man. They've uncovered like past tweets by him. Like I wonder, here's one by him. I wonder how it feels to wrongfully kill someone. And he's talking about a police officer. Like, I don't know, man. Like that's why people want karma.
Well, that's why when I heard what the plot of that movie was today, because I didn't hear until today what the actual plot of that movie is, and it's just eerie and creepy that's what this movie is all about, and it's just
for the audience that doesn't know. Why don't you tell them, Michael?
Yeah, I don't know what the movie is.
So from what I heard today was the plot of the movie was that his grandson accidentally shot and killed somebody.
Oh shit!
And he going to go rescue his grandson and hide him.
Well, I will say this. Had he taken his attorney's advice from the get-go and kept this zipped, things would have looked a whole lot better for him. Him going on the offense with his little videos that he put out there and his tweets that he put out there.
That's the problem.
You're absolutely correct. I do agree with you on that, Lewis. It just made him come off looking so.
Well, that, and never mind the time he yelled at his 13-year-old girl, his daughter or whatever it was.
All right, that was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, but 3 years ago is a lot, dude. I mean, we're talking about like, where's? I mean, 3 years. Okay, how old is he?
He's up there.
Okay, well, listen.
He's up there, but his daughter is like in her late 20s. She got over it. Yeah, he called her fat or something like that.
Okay, no, it was worse than that, but okay.
Yeah.
It's still, yeah.
But why bring that up? That has not,
because it's
what he did then has nothing to do with this.
Absolutely, it does. It sets up a pattern of cockiness. It sets up a personality trait.
Well, we all know this. I mean, how many times has he been in front of a judge for hitting a paparazzi? For hitting, yeah, he's got a temper. He's got a mouth. Yeah. But all of that has nothing to do with what happened on set.
Okay, then do you think it's fair that Brian Kohberger's friends and former dates are being questioned by the FBI to set up a pattern of personality? Do you think that's off limits then? Because that was in the past.
You are comparing apples.
No. Michael, help me here.
I don't think you are. You have to look at the history of somebody's behavior. Yeah. And he's had, and again, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form he did it intentionally. But
no, I don't think he did.
Issues. He's got violent issues. And he's just, clearly doesn't think before he does and says things. I mean, it's clear even after this happened. And again, I'm sorry, you're handed a weapon. Your first bit of training is to check it yourself.
Especially since you preach all day on Twitter, like about gun safety. That's a big deal.
Carol Smart in the chat says that Alec Baldwin is 64 years old.
Yeah, and the reason I asked his age is because it was a long time ago, maybe 7 years ago, since he's less than that. But at that age, you already are the person you're going to be.
Wait. Are you talking about what he said, the big brouhaha with his daughter?
Yeah.
Dude, that was
20 years ago?
Yeah, maybe even more. Yes.
No, I doubt it. 32 years. Was it 32?
I'm going to look.
Was it 32 years ago?
I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay. It wasn't 32 years ago. Was it 30? Okay, let's say it was 34 years ago, which the daughter's only 20. Okay. When you're 30, that's your personality already. It's not like you're changing into, that's who he is. He does that. He puts down his daughter. He calls her fat. That's like his personality.
And again, well, I'm not going to bring the P word into this, but for 4 years, man, the stuff that came flying out of that man's mouth, just hatred and violence.
Let me ask you, Michael, as a guy who works with animal control, the people who end their dogs and cats' lives, they do that to humans too, huh? They don't care about humans. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. It's a trait in personality. Not that this is the same thing, but
Yeah, and most of those animal abusers, it's when you go out to a house and you got somebody who's abusing animals, it's not the first time you're there. It's not the first situation. There's always a history, and you have to look at the history. And it doesn't matter what the charges or case is. You have to look and build on somebody's history. How long they've been doing this. How do they behave? What is their tendencies? Violence. He also seems to me, to be a very controlling person.
Yeah. And that's why I'm gonna be fair. That's where Jules is making a good point for once. A lot of people are going to have trouble separating his personality with this incident. But again, if he gets convicted, I don't feel like it's going to be.
It was big. 16 years ago.
Yeah, 16 years ago. How old was he?
He was 49 at the time.
Right. At 49, you're already the person you're going to be for the. You're not in developing, okay? So he was an asshole back then. I doubt he rejuvenated himself or found Jesus or whatever and fucking,
And also, you have to remember too, depending on his criminal history. Now, while I know he's had a bunch of those incidents with paparazzi and stuff like that, but I don't know if how many any of those things he actually got charged with, or if he just paid everybody off. But depending on your criminal history, even if he goes and fights this thing and loses, it could still just be fines. They could still, he could not see the inside of a jail for even 30 minutes.
I don't think he's he's going to see the inside of a jail. No,
I don't think so either. I think what'll happen is, just depending on what his history will be, it's going to be a fine amount and, and something on his record. And that's going to be it. But I also believe he's absolutely going to fight this tooth and nail.
Yeah. I don't think he did it on purpose. I'm going on record. I don't think he did it on purpose. If he could go back, he'd be, he'd be extra precautious. And I think the best punishment is to laugh at him. He's a fool. He's an idiot. He thinks he's not. So take that away from him. He's an idiot, fool, moron. And that should be what every time we think of him, that's what should be done. That's the punishment. I don't know about jail and all that. He didn't do it on purpose. I don't think he did. I really don't. And an accident's an accident. If maybe, the trial comes and we do hear that he did it on purpose, it was extra neglectful. And then maybe I'll change my mind. But as of right now, it's super tragic. And stuff like that, but you could bet your bottom dollar if it was someone else, he'd be tweeting away. Oh my God, I can't believe he's throwing. That actor did that. He's so neglects or is not precautious with the gun and stuff like that. That's what he'd be doing right now. So, but we'll be better than that.
As Shelley in the chat says, he still hasn't gotten to his come to Jesus moment.
No.
She's got a good point. Well, he hasn't.
Well, he's throwing everyone under the bus with the statement with the lawyer. It's everyone
and
but
he's
him.
not showing real remorse. His fake acting tears with oh God, who was that? But he did that sit down interview with the guy from the Clinton administration.
Oh God, George Stephanopoulos.
I'm sorry, in all these interviews, nothing he has said actually comes across as sincere remorse for what happened. No, and if it did, I would 100% not have a problem saying that. But nothing comes across as sincere, remorse from him. From minute one, he's been blaming other people. You held the gun. I'm not saying you did it intentionally. I'm not saying that there was malice there, but you held the gun, but you've blamed every single other human being that you possibly could blame, and you've not shown real remorse.
It doesn't look like it now. It doesn't look like it.
No, I agree. I am, in the first couple of days, he was very distraught. But then when it started looking like, that they were going to start blaming him, then, he got his, panties in a twist and he went on this media frenzy, which certainly didn't help his cause. And, the statement that was put out today by his attorneys, I don't
like it.
I don't know if he wrote it or the attorneys wrote it. If the attorneys wrote it, obviously he would have to approve what they were putting out there. But needless to say, that statement,
I don't like it.
Doesn't help his cause either.
I don't like the statement. The first thing he says is he uses the woman's name, like it's dishonors her memory.
I don't have a problem with him using Helena's name.
He's using her as a pawn to save his own skin, man. Like he's saying,
if he didn't use her name, people would be complaining. Oh, look at that! He doesn't even acknowledge.
But on the
name.
first sentence, he's saying, "This, do this." Okay. This is the way it reads. Do this for her. If I get convicted, you dishonor her memory. That's what the first sentence says to me. Please. Don't prosecute, don't convict me, don't accuse, because by doing this, you are dishonoring her memory. That's what he says in the statement. And then he goes on to say, and I'm just saying it like, I'm putting it in non-lawyers' words, it's everyone else's fault but mine. It's like saying, oh, Nerd Report Live, I'm unprepared today because Julie did not write up a script for the show. Well, guess what? I got to make sure that Julie has her thing, but then I got to double check that her thing is actually there. I'm the producer. You know what I mean? Could you read that super chat real quick? We got a Nerd Trooper in the super chat. Thanks for your support, y'all.
DIY Arts and Home with Luna says, you'd think after Brandon Lee in The Crow movie, Hollywood would learn and have safety measures to prevent this. I agree. I agree with you. That's correct.
And Kimberly, I want to thank you for becoming a Nerd Trooper. $1.99. You become a member. It really goes a long way for this channel. Buy us some coffee and stuff, and help us maintain the studio equipment and stuff like that. Hearts for both of you in the comments, please, everyone. Which brings me, Brandon Lee, such a big case where there were blanks. There was supposed to be blanks, but they used the real bang bang. I'm going to ask you all a serious question in the chat. How many years before this happens again? No, better yet, when will this happen again? How much time? Because they didn't learn anything. We could do CGI weapons, and they did. Why are there real ones there? It's not a shooting range. I don't get it.
Seems like that you had young people there, first big movie. They probably knew that they had some live rounds there. They're out in the middle of nowhere, in between takes, when they're not go out there and shoot at targets. I don't think that's probably that uncommon on movie sets.
Real ones? I don't know why they had a real thing. Real quick, everyone. There's over 200 people watching. I want to ask you all a favor. Do you have Instagram? If yes, right now on screen, you see our Instagram, Nerd Report Instagram. It looks like this. It's the Nerd Report on Instagram. It's got to have my logo with, the logo with my face on there. The last image is actually Alec Baldwin, and this one of these videos. I'm also there with Jack Black. So if you stumble across it, it's this one. You know how it looks. It's on screen. I'm dropping the link in the comments to our Instagram. I would love to get to 1,000 Instagram followers there. Could we do that? Could we get to 1,000 Instagram followers today? I'm dropping the link in the comments right now since it's a little bit delayed. We're going to hit Instagram a little harder. Instagram, please follow there. We need 1,000. The Nerd Report, not just Nerd Report, the Nerd Report. The other one's fake. Let's get to 1,000. And press 1 if you followed. Sorry, Jules.
I have breaking news.
Okay.
We have to pivot from Alec. Then we can go back.
Okay.
This is thanks to Audrey Hudson, who is a member. I told you she's been helping me with getting the documents out of Idaho. Okay.
Breaking news.
You're hearing it here first, folks. This is in regards to the gag order. The judge, I'm not going to read everything, but this is what the judge says. The state of Idaho versus Brian Kohberger. This is the amended non-dissemination order. I don't know what non-dissemination means. Michael, do you know what that means by any chance? If not, just say no so I can read this.
It's the gag order. You're not supposed to disseminate any information from the case.
Okay, let's record this real quick. I'm going to introduce it. So I'm going to have Julie, you go over it, and then I'm going to have this as a standalone later.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Lewis here with Nerd Report, and we've just stumbled on some breaking news right here that Jules, as we go live, is going to share with you all. I want to thank Michael, our animal control expert, who's really shed a lot of light, no pun intended, on the possibility that an animal hair was actually confiscated or collected from Brian Kohberger's house for the search warrant. But this news right here, I don't know what it is. This is something different. Jules, take it from here.
Breaking news, you're hearing it here first, courtesy our nerd trooper, Audrey Hudson, was able to grab this document. It was just released. She got the email notification like 10 minutes ago that it was coming out, and she quickly pulled it for me. This is in regards to the gag order. Apparently, the gag order has now been amended. It says here, there is a balance between protecting the right to a fair trial for all parties involved and the right to free expression as afforded under both the United States and Idaho Constitution. To preserve the right to a fair trial, some curtailment of the dissemination of information in this case is necessary and authorized under the law. Therefore, based upon the stipulation of the parties and with good cause, it is hereby ordered, number one,
Here we go.
Attorneys for any interested party in this case, including the prosecuting attorney, defense attorney, and any attorney representing a witness, victim, or victim's family, as well as the parties to the above entitled action, including but not limited to the investigators, law enforcement personnel, and agents for the prosecuting attorney or defense attorney are prohibited from making extrajudicial statements, written or oral, concerning this case, except without additional comment, a question from or referenced to the official public record of the case. Number two, this order specifically prohibits any statement which a reasonable person would expect to be disseminated by means of public communication that relates to, hold on, I got to go to the next page. Page 2. To the following: A, evidence regarding the occurrences or transactions involved in this case. B, the character, credibility, reputation, or criminal record of a party, victim, or witness, or the identity of a witness or expected testimony of a party, victim, or witness. This is big, folks. This is big. C, the performance or results of any examination or test, or the refusal or failure of a person to submit to an examination or test. D, any opinion as to the merits of the case or the claim or defense of a party. C, any information a lawyer knows or reasonably should know is likely to be inadmissible as evidence in a trial. and that would, if disclosed, create a substantial risk of prejudicing an impartial trial. F, any information reasonably likely to interfere with a fair trial in this case afforded under the United States and Idaho Constitution, such as the existence or contents of any confession, admission, or statement given by the defendant, the possibility of a plea of guilt, or any opinion as to the defendant's guilt or innocence. It is further ordered that no individual covered by this order shall avoid its, I think that says prescriptions by actions directly or indirectly but deliberately that result in violating this order. It is further ordered that this order and all provisions herein shall remain full force and effect through the entirety of this case, otherwise ordered by this court. And that was signed by the judge and the deputy clerk. And it went by email to William Wolford Thompson, who is the prosecutor, and it went to Ann Taylor, who is the public defender. Now, let's have a conversation.
Well, let's do that. Let's continue with that. But I do want to post this as a standalone. So the conversation's going to continue here on Nerd Report. What does it all mean? Let's talk about it in the comments. Let's talk about it right now, ladies and gentlemen. What does it all mean? Are they pissed?
I'll tell you what it means.
Let's go.
I'll tell you. And I think Michael will agree as well as you, Louis. You know how? Oh, let's see. We got the little Instagram information. Well, you broke that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then everybody else followed suit from People Magazine. The reports about what his Pennsylvania attorney said that he said, or all of these little things that are coming out here and there. Judge is pissed.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it.
Judge is pissed. Because, you know, they're a source closely connected to the case reports, you know, and let's face it, Fox News, People Magazine, you know, I don't know where YouTube falls into this. So, you know, I'm going to cite, you know, mainstream media. So CNN, Fox News, you know, Vanity Fair, you know, the magazines, New York Post, they all have that journalistic cover of protection where they don't have to say who their sources are. Their sources are protected under whatever right that is. I don't remember. I don't know if YouTube falls into that, but in any case, judge is pissed. Judge is pissed. That's why.
Wait, okay, but to be clear, and I don't know because I got to reread it and stuff. It's basically saying, look, if we catch you, but if someone anonymously calls Nerd Report, we're clear. We don't have to. We're good, right?
I don't know. Are we?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the First Amendment right to report. You know, we're not involved with the case.
You're fine.
Yeah, it's the people. This is a warning shot. From what I gather, if we catch you, you're effed. If we catch you leaking information, you're effed. I don't think it's saying, hey, if you're on YouTube, if you report on it, because, yeah, the big press outlets are going to tell them to F off, to pound sand. You know what I mean? That's the way I'm looking at it.
All about this, though. This does not surprise me. Nothing's going to get a judge more pissed off than you blatantly going against their order.
They don't know who it is, though. They don't know who it is.
Yeah, that's why it's blanket. It's a blanket statement.
It's blanket. I mean,
everybody.
yeah. The judge, you heard it. The judge named even down to the victims, the victims' families. No, everybody's got to shut up. And God rest her soul. My prayers go out to all the families, but we know Kaylee's dad right from the beginning was very outspoken, and his attorney has been out there speaking as well.
Still?
So, yeah. His attorney, the father just did an interview. Her dad just did an interview. The mother, the father, and the sister just did an interview a few days back. Yes. So the judge just threw the gauntlet down. Am I right, Michael?
Absolutely. There's nothing you want to see a judge blow their top. You blatantly go against what they told you not to do.
Confession, admission.
Well, by the way, if you're getting us a notification, we do have that video up. If you want to check out, Julie's good presentation reading it. That video is up. We'll redirect you all there. I'm not getting that. If any YouTuber or Fox or CNN finds out an inside story, I'm not getting that they are legally liable for it. I'm not getting that out of it.
No.
But I am getting that, hey, by the way, if we catch you, we're after you. Well, we're going to F you up, and we're after you.
It would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, it would be considered a contempt of court charge, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And in most places, I believe it's like the minimal of 30 days in jail for most of your contempt charges. But yeah, if the news outlets won't, this isn't going to affect them reporting information that they get. But if you're going to leak, well, you better make sure that you're leaking to somebody who's going to keep their mouth shut, because this judge ain't going to have it if he finds out who's talking to him. And it sounds like the family too, doing the interviews, like all that stuff.
I feel like they've stopped after the police got a hold of Kohberger. That's what I feel like. They're not really doing it. They're happy with the results, the police results, after, the catch. But
and you have to understand, the reason why the judge would put it in this gag order, you don't want all this information out there. Eventually, at some point or another, year and a half, 2 years down the road now, there's going to be a jury impaneled for this. And you need to find a jury of his peers that, don't know everything about this case. And the more information, if they didn't have that gag order, so much more information would be out there. I understand why he did it. And I can understand why he's not happy about all the information that's gotten out so far.
Yeah, folks, I need another call to arms here. We tweeted out the new video. I need you to do me a favor. Head over to Twitter and share that if possible. I'm showing you right there. Breaking news, so we can fight the algorithm, fight the power. You know what I'm saying? So retweet here. Sorry, everyone, that we keep doing this. It's just, the nature of the beast. It's what we're working with. Oh, okay, here we go. Retweet the video in the comments. Just click there, and it's in the comments. Just click there and retweet the latest breaking update to the gag order in the Idaho 4 homicide case. You could go, if you don't get the link, just look for Nerd Lecca on Twitter and share that. Let me see who's done it.
And again, I cannot thank Audrey enough for being on top of this, helping me. So I cannot take 100% credit. She has been helping, and she just had surgery a few days ago, and she's still helping. So God love her.
Audrey, I'm planning to fire Julie, so please email me. Just kidding. For some reason, Julie always thinks I'm trying to fire her. It's so weird. But yeah, well, thanks for inserting that idea to me, Julie, and maybe we will do that. I'm just kidding. You're gonna get some nice little beanies in the mail pretty soon, Jules.
Did Mrs. Lecca put them in the mail today?
Well, yeah, if you want to call me Miss Lecca, but she created them, so.
You don't get any credit on my. I cannot wait to get my kitty hats.
Oh, they're gonna be so cool. I have a feeling they're gonna look really good on you, like really, really good.
As soon as I get them, I'm gonna wear it on the first live stream the day I get them. Yeah.
Well, look, I think this has been an amazing live stream. We've been on for 2 hours, but listen, I'm going to do this real quick. I want everybody to head over as we start to, close up. We've been on for 2 hours, Jules. That's pretty good. All right?
God, time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Yeah, man, it's been great. Breaking news. I'm dropping the link in the comments. Everyone, head over there right now. Give that video a like, a comment, something. Right now, I'm dropping the link. Jules read it. It was awesome. Audrey, make her proud. She took the time to do the research. But now it's call to arms. Everyone watching, all 200 people, go over there. Michael, are you okay?
Yes.
I want to thank you, man. What is he, a dog? Very informative stream. Thank you, sir. I would love to have you back. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's always fun. I always enjoy kind of coming on with you guys and chatting about different stuff. And like I said, anything in that world of animals.
Yeah.
It's got something to say.
Well, not only that, you seem like a logical person. So I like having logical people here. So I make an exception with Jules, but
I wonder where he gets it from.
Yeah.
You got to see things from both sides and look at all perspectives of everything, and not let your emotions get in the middle of your opinions.
By the way, you two resemble each other. I don't know why, but you two kind of look alike. I'll leave it there. Any last words, Michael? That's it, and we'll send
No. I hope this case goes the way that we are all wanting it to, and let the evidence lead everything to where it is, and we'll see what a jury of his peers come back with.
100%. Well said. Jules, what would you like to add?
First off, Lewis, I have a message for you from Audrey.
Audrey.
She doesn't want my job. She just wants to be my secretary. So there.
She wants to be your Steph.
She wants to be my secretary. Yeah, she wants to be I'm your Steph. She can be my Steph.
Oh my
She's
God.
been very helpful. Anyway, on that note, I thought it was
amazing show.
I thought it was a great show. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And we want to bring you more commentary like this, more authentic. We try to, do the facts here. And if we don't know, we'll tell you we don't know. In any case, on that note, it was great talking with everybody in the chat. It was nice seeing Michael. Lewis, thank you again for everything that you do in the community. Everybody out there, be kind, mind your words, because words matter.
100%. Oh, yeah. Wait, I can't beat that, so I'm just going to leave it there. Once again, though, I'm dropping the link in the comments. Head over there to our latest video. Go to Nerd Report, the channel. Latest video. Big news with the gag order. Big news. I think we have a pissed off judge.
Very good.
But I also feel, and we're going to be talking about it more later, I also feel like she's, how would I say, throwing haymakers in the wind, because she's not going to know who the heck is leaking the information. So
it's gonna make people think twice, maybe, hopefully.
It's going to instill fear, but no one's going to get caught. And also, you heard it here first. I'm going to go out on a limb. This confirms, in my opinion, that the Instagram stuff was real. This is, yeah. And I'll tell you why. because when people in the film industry, which I cover the film industry, when YouTubers make up rumors, the studios are quick to deny them unless the rumors are real, you know? So using that logic, I'm telling you right
Lewis.
now. Yeah. Theta, thank you. Yep, great stream. Thank you so much. Last super chat of the day. Thank you so much. Head over there right now. That video is doing very, very well. But we got to keep it up. We got to keep it up. I'm dropping the link. I'm spamming it. That video is doing great. Head over there right now.
Which video?
The one we just dropped.
The breaking news one?
The breaking news. It's doing well, but YouTube as of late is doing well, and then it dumps us. And yeah, screw them. With that, nerd out.